Link TV, connecting you to the world. Link TV is viewer supported. Watch more at linktv.org.
Link TV presents Mosaic World News from the Middle East. Here are today's top stories.
Ahmadinejad's visit to southern Lebanon worries Israel. Iraq's PM solicits Assad's help to form government. And censorship in Kuwait's book fair creates controversy. Mosaic World News from the Middle East begins now.
On the second day of Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad's official visit to Lebanon, he is expected to visit the south of the country, particularly its border regions with Israel.
Prior to
Ahmadinejad's trip to the south, he held a meeting with President Michel Suleiman, Parliament Speaker Nabi Berri, and Prime Minister Saad al-Hariri, who had held bilateral talks with President Ahmadinejad.
In the morning, the Iranian president met with nearly 40 Lebanese officials and leaders before visiting the Lebanese University in Beirut suburbs, where he received an honorary doctorate.
Meanwhile, Israeli Defense Minister Ehud Barak said the visit of the Iranian president to Lebanon reflects the regression of the country's status as an independent state.
As Barak supervised military maneuvers in the occupied Syrian Golan Heights, he warned that the current calm in the region might be reversed at any moment. In Washington, the White House criticized Ahmadinejad's visit to Beirut.
Perhaps it is because their historical experiences have led them to believe weapons provide a more predictable outcome than speeches. Israel's generals and political leaders boarded a military plane and headed toward the occupied Syrian Golan Heights. From there, they sought to respond to Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad's visit to Lebanon. One of their top leaders, Defense Minister Ehud Barak, ascended from a tank that was conducting live military maneuvers and issued a warning that the current calm in the region might not be maintained. He made the comment in front of officers and soldiers camped out on the Syria-Israel armistice line. In addition, he reiterated the Israeli position that rejects returning the Golan Heights to its Syrian owners under the pretext of preventing Iran from reaching it.
Ahmadinejad's visit reflects the new reality that Lebanon might cease to be an independent nation and gradually become an agent of another power in Tehran. We, of course, don't want that to happen, but we'll be monitoring the developments, and as usual, we are seeking solutions to reduce the tension. At the same time, as you can see, we are continuing our preparations.
Another Israeli source also said that Ahmadinejad is coming as a military leader to check up on his Hezbollah soldiers. Dozens of Israelis demonstrated near the town of Metula, close to the Lebanese border, where they held banners calling the Iranian president the new Hitler.
His presence here aims to obstruct peace, control Lebanon, and continue the Persian Empire's control of the Arab world.
The statement issued by the Druze Israeli official, known for his bias for Israel, resembled the talk of some Lebanese and Arabs, and that of the United States, not only for highlighting what is referred to as the Iranian danger, but also for concealing what is referred to as the Israeli danger, in a region that has become an easy site for the aspirations of rising regional powers.
We understand that the states like Iran and subgroups like Hezbollah are trying to undermine the effectiveness of the national government and the sovereignty of Lebanon. We are committed to Lebanon's security. We continue to work directly with the government. And as we said earlier, we have strong suspicions about the motives of Iran and the groups it supports, who do not have Lebanon's interests at heart.
Here, no one is asking, especially the United States and Israel, about the meaning of respecting Lebanese sovereignty, a country placed in a position where the right to host the president of another country on its own territory is being seen as too much to grant.
We open with the second day of Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad's visit to Lebanon. In a short time from now, Ahmadinejad is due to embark on the most sensitive part of his trip to the region as he tours Lebanon's southern border with Israel. Tensions over the planned visit have been running high amid rumors that Ahmadinejad may throw stones across the border into Israel. IBA's Jordana Miller has been following developments and filed this report.
Defense Minister Ehud Barak has not put the army on high alert ahead of Ahmadinejad's visit to neighboring Lebanon, but he did make a special trip up north yesterday to give the troops support.
We've seen Ahmadinejad visiting Lebanon today. That's a reflection of a new reality where Lebanon gradually ceases to be a normal acting state and more a proxy of some other forces in Tehran. We don't like it, of course. We are watching, and we are always both stretching our hands to find practical solution to ease the tensions, but also ready, as you can see here behind me.
Ahmadinejad is expected to visit the towns of Maroun al-Ras and Bint Jabil. Both are Hezbollah strongholds where some of the fiercest fighting took place during the 2006 war with Israel. And both towns are just hundreds of meters from Israel. Unconfirmed reports say Ahmadinejad plans to throw rocks over the border at Israeli soldiers. This morning, academics at the state-run Lebanese university awarded the Iranian president an honorary doctorate. In his acceptance speech, he attacked the West, and specifically the U.S., for trying to control and monopolize the use of nuclear energy. He defended Iran's nuclear energy program, which the West believes is a covert plan to develop nuclear weapons. Various Lebanese politicians and religious leaders hosted Ahmadinejad this afternoon. Last night, Ahmadinejad addressed a rally of thousands of Hezbollah supporters in Beirut. He praised the terrorist group and said he'd stand behind them in any future conflict with Israel. And he denounced the Jewish state on many accounts. He blamed many of the region's problems on what he called the Zionist enemy and threatened once again to annihilate the country if what he described as its aggression continued. He said Zionists and Israelis should be kicked out and sent back to their place of origin so Palestinians can have their homeland back. Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah lavished praise on Ahmadinejad, calling him a dear loved one and mentor. Ahmadinejad is Hezbollah's main patron, giving the terror group millions of dollars each year. Israeli officials are now condemning the Iranian president's visit. A spokesman for the prime minister said Iran's domination of Lebanon through its proxy Hezbollah has destroyed any chance for peace. The U.S. State Department issued its own reservations, saying they suspect Iran doesn't have Lebanon's best interests at heart, given its support for Hezbollah. American lawmakers are now threatening to hold up an additional $100 million in aid to Lebanon. Jordana Miller, IBA News.
Here in Israel, one member of Knesset said that he is appalled at the prospect that the Iranian president might throw rocks at IDF soldiers during tomorrow's slated visit to Israel's shared border with Lebanon. The opinion does not appear to be shared by other Israeli legislators, however, as the vast majority reportedly believe that the possible stone-throwing incident would create more headlines than real violence.
If we could kill Adolf Hitler a day before Second World War, the whole history could be different. Now it's a very similar time when it might be within our capabilities to kill an Iranian leader who openly preached for the annihilation of the State of Israel from the UN podium, and people applauded to him.
It's not for us to kill him, but it's for the world to wake up and to understand what kind of a dangerous person we have got. And the sooner the world will wake up, the better it will be for the whole world, not only for the State of Israel, because he is not thinking only of us. Maybe we first, but others will follow us. So the sooner people will understand it and stop respecting him and stop inviting him and stop interviewing him and treat him as he is, the better it will be for the free world.
We start with this piece of news. Israeli forces have shot a teenage boy in the leg in the northern Gaza Strip. This comes just the day after another boy was shot in the same area. Hundreds of Palestinians in the besieged Strip earn their living by collecting iron and scrap metal from the rubble of the abandoned Israeli settlements. The material is then used to rebuild houses destroyed by Israeli attacks. A new report by Defence for Children International says Israeli soldiers have shot and wounded 10 teenagers who were collecting building materials over the past 3 months. And the lawyers representing families of the victims of Israel's deadly attack on a Gaza flotilla back in May will file a lawsuit with the International Criminal Court later on Thursday. A statement by the lawyers has called for the court to bring to justice the perpetrators of Israel's deadly attack on the Turkish-flagged ship Mavi Marmara. The statement says Israel has violated the 4th Geneva Conventions and laws regulating the conduct of hostilities during peace and war. Israel's attack on the aid flotilla left 9 Turkish activists dead and many more injured. Israel claims its commandos acted in self-defense, but a UN fact-finding committee has rejected the claim, accusing Tel Aviv of using disproportionate force. The panel also said there is clear evidence of willful killing and torture by Israelis.
The Palestinian Authority has reiterated its refusal to recognize Israel as a Jewish state. This position was restated in response to remarks made by the Secretary General of the Palestine Liberation Organization's Executive Committee, Yasser Abed-Rabo, in which he asked Israel and the U.S. to present a clear map of Israel's borders in order for Palestinians to know if those borders encompass Palestinian land. Israel responded by rejecting to withdraw to the 1967 borders.
The position of the American administration, which recognizes Israel as a Jewish state, received wide Israeli and Palestinian media attention and was met by an official Palestinian position. It warns of the danger of such recognition for the future of the Palestinian cause and confirms the necessity of Israel's withdrawal to the 1967 borders. According to the Palestinians, United Nations Security Council resolutions and previous international agreements have already demarcated Israel's borders.
We keep on demanding that Israel withdraw to the 1967 borders. We ask that it draws a map on the 67 borders in exchange for something small. We are asking for a more precise map, but we have never said that we will recognize Israel as a Jewish state in exchange for the 1967 borders, because accepting a Jewish state has no relationship to those borders. It is related to the refugees' rights and the Palestinians of 1948, as in the Palestinians in Israel.
What the Haaretz newspaper published and attributed to the Secretary General of the Palestine Liberation Organization's Executive Committee over the possibility of Palestinian recognition of Israel as a Jewish state in exchange for recognizing the 1967 borders as those of the future Palestinian state was refuted by the Palestinian side. The different Palestinian sides, whether in support of or in opposition to the direct peace negotiations, rushed to confirm that such Israeli demands must be met with a clear Palestinian political position.
Right now, we stand against the direct negotiations and tell the Palestinian side that now is the time to take a political position to face Israel, and the Palestinian people are ready for the consequences of this position.
As some are asking that the Palestinian leadership that responds to Israeli demands be held accountable, others believe that those Israeli demands included much more than recognizing the Jewish character of that state.
Giving up on this issue without Israeli exchanges is a continuation of the series of concessions on Palestinian rights and the just Palestinian cause. If we give up on it, we will find ourselves moving from one concession to the next without having Israel offer anything tangible.
For Israel, recognizing it as a Jewish state is a main condition for any future peace agreement. For the Palestinian side, this recognition would imply giving up on one of its national principles, mainly the right of return. Between those 2 points of view, the American role is seeking to reach an agreement within 1 month that would appease both sides. From the city of Ramallah, Iman Erakat, BBC.
In a visit aimed to mend his country's relations with Syria, Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki met with Syrian President Bashar Assad in Damascus. Maliki also asked Assad to help Iraq form its embattled government. Both leaders said that they support the formation of a national unity government that includes all segments of Iraqi society. They also called for improving their country's relations after a strained year. According to the Syrian news agency, Maliki has praised Syria for its support of Iraq and its commitment to restoring peace and stability in the country. While Maliki was in Damascus, his rivals in Baghdad announced the formation of a new coalition, dubbed the Axis of 130 Members of Parliament. The new coalition expressed support for the nomination of Adel Abdul Mahdi for the Prime Minister's post. The coalition is expected to include the Iraqi List, the Kurdish Alliance, the Islamic Supreme Council, the Wasat or Middle Alliance, which includes the Unity Bloc led by Iraqi Minister of Interior Jawad al-Bolani, as well as the Accordance Front led by former Parliament Speaker Iyad al-Samarai. Shafiq Abdul-Jabbar reports from Baghdad.
Not far from the idea of national partnership, Iraqi politicians have announced the formation of a new alliance dubbed the Axis of 130 Members of Parliament. The new coalition includes the Iraqi List and the National Alliance, who oppose the nomination of Maliki for Prime Minister. The coalition, which also includes the Kurdish and Wasat alliances, has nominated Adel Abdul Mahdi to lead the new government.
After breaking off talks with the State of Law coalition, the Iraqi List opened a dialogue with the Islamic Supreme Council and the Fadila or Virtue Party. The Iraqi List voiced its support for the Supreme Council and its nominee. Having said that, the Islamic Council and the Virtue Party have failed to come to consensus with the Iraqi List. At this time, they have not announced their intention to withdraw from the National Alliance.
In contrast, the Kurdish position was much clearer. The Kurds said they will support any party that is fit for the position provided they are included in the new government.
We have not made our final decision. Having said that, we will support any group or bloc that allows Kurds to run on its ticket.
For now, the idea of swearing in a new government is still far-fetched, with many Iraqis calling for the resumption of talks inside the parliamentary chamber. Who will lead the new government, when, and how? After months of failed talks, these questions and others are still without answers, puzzling Iraq's politicians and its people. No one knows for sure whether the new government will be formed by a parliamentary majority or the opposition, or will it be a national unity government. From Baghdad, Shafiq Abdul-Jabbar, Dubai TV.
Industrial toxic waste is the main source of pollution in the southern marshes of Iraq, where a number of cancer cases have been reported by residents.
Fish and cattle, a vital part of life for most marsh residents, were not spared from this environmental pollution, inflicting substantial economic losses in the region.
The marshland of southern Iraq is one of the hardest-hit regions in the country due to drought. To make matters worse, the region has become a dumping ground for toxic waste by local industries, causing environmental pollution that is threatening the area's ecosystem. The pollution has caused substantial damage to crops, water, and the fish industry in the region.
The region's problems are due to the pollution of water resources, mainly the Garaf and Euphrates rivers. The pollution is primarily caused by the dumping of toxic waste and untreated industrial solutions in waterways. Several government and civic institutions, such as the ore company, the textile factory, the power plant, as well as the water and sewage department, are to blame for this dumping. In addition, the region is facing other environmental problems, such as the use of fish poisons in rivers, low water levels and high sodium levels. These are some of the problems facing the March's territory.
The marsh residents depend on fishing, farming, and cattle breeding, all of which have been negatively affected by environmental pollution. Meanwhile, several local agencies have called on the government to take the necessary measures to help combat this growing problem.
We at the Center for the Restoration of Iraq Marshes, in cooperation with the appropriate authorities, are calling on the government to explore ways to treat industrial waste prior to its disposal. Under no circumstances should these hazardous materials be dumped in waterways, such as the Euphrates.
Some of the companies, such as the Department of Geothermal Energy, which were listed as sources of pollution in the southern marshes, have denied allegations of dumping industrial solutions and toxic waste in river waterways. The Department of Water and Sewage has blamed local sanitation companies for the problem.
Frankly, there have been some reports of pollutants and industrial solutions being dumped into the river prior to treatment, but this is no longer the case. Nearly a year ago, we signed a contract with the Ministry of Industry and the Bin Sina company to upgrade its water and sewage system.
The problem facing the Department of Water and Sewage in Dikar, and perhaps other departments, is the amount of waste being dumped into the waterways. We don't have a water and sewage system in the marsh region, so depending on rainwaters without having a treatment plant is in itself a violation of the law.
The environmental pollution in the marshlands is mainly caused by the dumping of toxic waste and solutions by local companies and plants. This has negatively affected the overall ecosystem of the southern marsh region. From Nasiriyah, Mohammed Al-Hilali, Iraqiya.
The head of Russia's Federal Drug Control Service, Viktor Ivanov, and Pakistan's State Minister of Narcotic Control, Arbab Mohammad Zahir, signed a cooperation agreement to fight drug trafficking. The agreement was signed during Ivanov's visit to Islamabad, where he went to develop bilateral and regional cooperation to fight drug trafficking.
المخدرات هي مصدر قلق دولي وإقليمي فهي مصدر رئيس لتغذية وتمويل.
Drugs are a source of international and regional concern since they're used to grow and finance the two phenomena of terrorism and extremism in the region. Based on that principle, an agreement was signed by Russian and Pakistani officials, the results of intensive discussions held by Viktor Ivanov, the head of Russia's Federal Drug Control Service, with a number of Pakistani officials. They discussed the danger posed by drugs, both regionally and internationally. In a special interview granted to Russia Today, Ivanov disclosed that he will present a set of recommendations to contribute to the joint Pakistan-Russia efforts to fight drugs bilaterally and regionally. He confirmed that his visit aims to add new dimensions to the relationship between the countries.
The first assessment of my discussions here leads me to say that Russian-Pakistani relations have begun a new distinguished period. We hope to expand and improve our relationship, not only in fighting drug trafficking, but also on humanitarian and military levels.
إذن توجت مباحثات الضيف الروسي مع المسؤولين الباكستانيين بالتوقيع على اتفاق.
The Russian guests' discussions with Pakistani officials concluded with the signing of a cooperation agreement that will activate joint efforts between the Pakistani anti-narcotic department and its Russian counterpart. For its part, the Pakistani side expressed hope that this visit will take their bilateral relations to a new level in order to combat future challenges the region will face.
التي تواجهها هذه المنطقة.
Today we have taken a major step towards accomplishing our joint agreement, which could help us face future challenges. I am certain that together we might accomplish something different, something positive.
اتفاق روسي باكستاني على تفعيل آليات
A Russian-Pakistani agreement activating bilateral mechanisms will be the basis for pushing joint regional efforts aimed at accomplishing their mutual goal of completely terminating drug trafficking, especially its cultivation in Afghanistan.
خاصة زراعتها في أفغانستان. التطلع إلى آفاق أوسع لتعزيز الجهود.
The aspiration is wider cooperation that would promote joint efforts between the two countries in fighting drugs. And even more important is Islamabad and Moscow's agreement on the need to push their bilateral relations to a new level that could serve their joint interests. Barak Fath al-Din, Russia Today, Islamabad.
The Kuwait International Book Fair has opened its 35th session amidst a broad cultural controversy. This news comes after the Book Fair administration decided to ban 33 books written by Egyptian authors from taking part in the fair. The decision was described by scholars and writers as victory for the extremist movement at the expense of freedom, calling for a boycott of the fair.
It's a feature seen exclusively in Kuwait each year with the opening of the annual cultural book fair. Kuwait launched its 35th International Book Fair amidst strong controversy raised by scholars, activists, and politicians over the ban of some books, mostly written by Egyptian authors. Critics of the ban say that it's a setback to the country's democratic efforts, which Kuwait takes pride in. Nearly 25 books have been banned from the fair, as confirmed in a statement by the Kuwaiti Ministry of Information. The censorship committee said that the ban targeted books written on pornography, religion, or politics.
There appears to be a movement of reactionary militants or scholars in Kuwait. It seems that they have been able to infiltrate the system, especially at the decision-making level.
ولا سيما صانع القرار في المجال الثقافي. أكاديميون ومثقفون آخرون وجدوا أن من حق كل.
Other scholars and intellectuals said that each country reserves the right to help uphold its stability and security in its own way. Knowledgeable sources said that the banned books contain inflammatory literature about certain ethnic and religious groups and sects in Kuwait.
The ban is justifiable. Some of the books were banned for insulting God, all praise to him, the Prophet, peace and prayers be upon him, as well as some of the Prophet's followers. Some of these books openly promote atheism. Other books on pornography were also banned. These are some of the books banned in Kuwait. Other books on magic and witchcrafts were banned as well. Kuwait is a country that is home to various religions, sects, tribes, and ethnicities. Kuwait doesn't allow any group to attack another.
Officials of the Egyptian publishing company, which was hit by the ban, voiced their reaction to the BBC.
It's odd to see this much uproar. We don't know whether the ban was against 1, 2, or more books written by famous authors. I know that censorship exists in all publishing companies, not only Egyptian ones.
When you ban one of my books, you need to tell me the reason for such a ban. You have to present the other side's opinion. The author or thinker who writes a book must be informed of what others think of him.
The Kuwaiti Ministry of Information said only 25 titles out of 24,000 books were banned from this year's book fair. In numbers, the figure may not seem too big. However, to some scholars, it's a cultural disaster and an attack on the freedom of expression and speech. Walid Al-Muanmin, BBC, Kuwait.
The views expressed on Mosaic are from contributing broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible from support of viewers like you. Thank you. Watch Mosaic World News online. Stay up to date with breaking news. Read our blog. Get transcripts of past shows and more at linktv.org/mosaic.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world.